media. I've got one of my oldest friends online, I think, ever.
Meaning longest term, not
Longest term, like
oldest.
not oldest. You know what I mean? I'm not going
I
to,
could be, but
back in Google. So
hmm
this is
hmm
for our drinking game that we always play when we mention Google Plus every show. This is when I mentioned, I met Peg back in the day on Google Plus. And gosh, we've done a lot of things together. We're also co-producers on Guy Kawasaki's Remarkable People podcast, which so we talk all the time on
I
stuff.
can't even be serious, Jeff. I want to have like a sock pocket while you're talking and being
It's
like,
like wah 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 wah.
wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah,
So anyway, I'm
wah.
so glad that she's on the show because she is a genius when it comes to our topic today, which is media kits. So as we're going along, make sure you ask your questions because we want to make you guys asked for this show. You said, "Hey, give us a show on media kits," and so that's what we're doing. So make sure you ask your question down below wherever you're watching from. We'll try to bring it into the show. And also, if you know some friends who are like, "Oh my gosh, they need to hear this information that Peg is dropping," make sure you mention them down below. Call them into the conversation, even if it's to the replay, and we'll try to answer even then in the comments. And we've got our friend who's another Google Pluser back in the day. It's our friend Dustin
It's
Stout.
Dustin.
Hey,
Hello,
Dustin. Look,
Dustin.
that is an old profile photo because he looks, I've seen some of his new ones. He looks a little more Jesus-y than he does right now. He's got a beard.
Look who's
Yeah,
talking.
well, I mean, I look like just like, I'm a panhandler or something, but Dustin looks pretty
Panhandler.
sharp.
You look
But
like you're a panhandler that does magic.
that does magic. Oh, and we've got some other people, Facebook user, I'm not sure who, we're two of his favorite people, or her people. So I'm glad that you are watching.
That's
We,
just all Facebook users.
I know. And from LinkedIn, we have Kat from, says, awesome's greeting from Chile. Catalina, so
Hello.
thank you for watching. This is awesome over on
Chile is
LinkedIn.
one of my favorite places that I ever visited. It's
Uh,
so beautiful there,
and Tealcaster says, was Jesus on Google Plus? Yes, he was. He is everywhere.
obviously.
So, anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Like I said, ask your questions down below. Peg is here. We're going to have a fun time. And Dustin says, yes, Jesus was on Google Plus.
Of
He
course.
was. So let's get started. I'm going to hit go on the podcast machine and we will get rolling. Oh, by the way, folks,
I'm making the noise.
and Peg is going to actually start the sound effect. But Grace is sick today, so that's why she's not
Mm.
here. So if you see her around the interwebs, make sure you give her a little bit of virtual hugs because she'd appreciate that because she's not feeling well. So, all right, we're going to get started right now. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not. And this is the show that keeps you up to date in the world of social media and so much more. And I'm so excited today because I've got my good friend Peg Fitzpatrick here on the show. And we're going to be talking about media kits. And this is something that you guys have been wanting to talk about for a while. You had given it to us in the comments when I asked for some feedback. And we're going to be talking with Peg about creating magic with media kits. So media kits are really mandatory when it comes to securing brand deals and partnerships. They need to be concise and informative. They got to be stunning, which Peg does a great job with. And it's got to be engaging. It's got to be authentic. And it's got to also highlight your value as a creator or influencer, but also makes you look kind of attractive to brands as a potential partner. And this can be a lot. So do not worry. You don't have to hire a PR specialist or graphic designer. You can make a media kit all on your own using clever copywriting and free tools and some great tips from Peg today. So Peg, how are you doing?
Good, 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 good.
How's the weather? Is it cold where you're at? Because I mean, like it's
uh,
like 80 below or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
well, no, not this week, but a couple weeks ago, it literally was like 40 below. But today we're just like in a little end of a little blizzard kind of deal. And we've had a lot of tree damage. That other storm gave us like a really bad tree damage, which is always a bummer. So,
Oh gosh.
um,
So,
yeah. So
anyways,
anyway,
we're
spring is
inside. It doesn't
coming. I
matter.
saw some
Yeah.
robins yesterday. So,
Okay. Well, if you guys don't know Peg, which it's hard to believe, let me introduce you. She is a popular social media speaker, trainer, and writer. She's the co-author of The Art of Social Media, Power Tips for Power Users, and it covers all the major social media platforms. And over the years, she has collaborated with dream partners like TJ Maxx, sharing the stage with Barbara Cochran. She was first head of social strategy for Canva. That's really cool. And she also
if you heard of Canva, it's
yeah,
because
that's
I
right. It's
found
because
it
of Peg.
first,
I
which is
remember you giving
legitimately
out.
true.
I remember you giving out at Social Media Marketing World like cards for like $10 off
Mhm.
Canva subscriptions and all that stuff like that back in the day.
It was
So
10 it was Canva credits
yeah,
back when you
that was awesome.
it was like $1 an image or the elements and stuff that were in there. Yeah, I found one of those on my desk the other day. I was like, "Oh, look, a little Canva credit."
There you go. Try it out. So, but she's also spearheaded successful social media campaigns for Audi, Motorola, Google, and Virgin, and she has been a brand ambassador for Kimpton Hotels, Nestle, and many more. So she is passionate about social media and inspiring the others to be their best. So we're going to be talking about creating media kits that stand out and sell. Peg, thank you so much. If I could talk today, welcome to the show again. This is like your third or fourth time, I think.
It is. Hello,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. So
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, so I'm glad to be here. Media kits are a great topic because it's one of the things that people kind of gatekeep information on the whole process of how do you get brand deals. I
Hmm.
think there's a little bit more information out there now than there used to be when I first started and I was trying to do and I was like, oh my God, like there was no templates, there was no information, you have no idea. It's like everybody wants to just keep the information themselves and not share it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
hopefully this will be helpful for people who want to work with brands.
Yeah. And speaking of helpful, let's talk about our sponsor for the show today. It is our friends over at Ecamm. You can
Okay,
find
there
out
we go.
more at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. And they're what makes the show possible. They have just rolled out version 4, which is amazing. It lets us do isolated video tracks. So when I'm done, I'll have a nice clean feed of Peg and a clean feed of me, and I can actually repurpose them in really, really cool ways. You also have isolated audio tracks, which we'll use for the podcast. But it's all new in version 4, so make sure you guys check that out at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. All right, Peg. So let's start out talking about like what media kits are actually made of. So what should it include? It should showcase your strength, of course. It's supposed to prove that you have an engaged online following by your follower
Mhm.
stats, highlighting the kind of value you can bring to a potential client. And it's the goal of it is to convince other businesses and collaborators, to actually, partner with you. So let's
Mhm.
discuss the format. Ideally, a media kit should be short and sweet, kind of like a
Right.
resume.
Right.
So do you think media kit should be like a one-page PDF or like a slide deck? What do you find to be the most successful?
So it depends on like if you're at the very beginning stage and you're just going to be sending a brand something, you can make a PDF. It can just be one page or it could be two-sided. It could just be more than one. You don't want to make it too long when it's the initial thing that if you're just sending someone a media kit first off. But if it was later, like I've done a slide deck, but that was for Guy's podcast, and that was different. It was longer because I wanted to showcase Guy's experience, brands he's worked with, like in a bigger way with more images, and then also I did specific I kind of did it like the offerings and what to charge for them.
Mm-hmm.
So in your initial one, you don't want to put everything in there, but you want to have it be like a pretty good teaser. And you could put your rates in there if you want, but also, well, I mean, we'll get it probably more into like the money piece of it later,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to put all your rates and everything on your media kit. If it's so you could have like different levels of a media kit is what I'm saying. You could have like an intro one that was kind of like one to
Right.
two pages, so it's a really short PDF. And then you could have a longer one that could include what you're offering. Like like for Jeff's show, like I have a show, it's a weekly show, it's going to reach this many people. I run it on this many platforms. I'm going to repurpose it, I'm going to share it. So you could talk about those things.
Mm.
So it could be shorter or it could be longer, depending on where you are kind of in the process with the brand.
So would you suggest like maybe having one for like maybe kind of a colder email that would be where your shorter one would be, and then
Yeah.
like if somebody requests something from you, that might be your medium size or longer one. Is that kind of how you would think
Yeah.
about sending it to people?
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely, yeah. And then in the PDF, you're making a PDF, which is amazing because you can do them in Canva and you can do clickable links. So in there, you could link to. Do we want to talk about the things that are in the media kit, or is that
Yeah. So
later?
I wanted to kind of go, because I think like testimonials would be maybe in your,
Yeah.
especially your longer version one. So Um,
So yes, you could do testimonials
okay.
in your longer one, and you want to make it as easy as possible for people to see things. Especially brands are going to get lots of pitches from people. But so in that case, you could do text things. You could get little quotes from people, um or you could just do a screenshot of the text and put it in there to look like it's part of the post or something. So you can make it clever. You're an online person.
Hmm.
One of mine, I have like a little a screenshot of me in the like in a phone, like it's me. I think I put myself in the phone, like
Oh
so it
yeah,
looks,
yeah. Hmm.
just did like a little
Gotcha.
frame thing and put my photo in there. So you want to make it as engaging as possible, but you could also add links in there to click through to the campaigns, which I think is really nice. Like
Oh yeah.
if you've worked, like if I did a McDonald's campaign, I could link right in there. People could click on that, and then they could go right to that post on Instagram.
Mm. To see what you've
So
done in the past, kind of a thing.
right, right. I mean,
Gotcha.
if brands are so good at like scrolling through. They know who they want to work with. They also have very sophisticated software that pulls up influencers.
Mm.
So they find people that way too. Sometimes it's just, um, you know, they're looking and they find you if you tagged them.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's if there's somebody that you want to work with, that's a smart way to go. Without being annoying, you can
Right.
mention their products and tag them. Um, and really, one of the best things you can do if you want to work with brands, even before the media kit, before, during, or after the media kit,
Right.
is to really build a strong niche and have that be what draws people to you. So, for example, you do a show,
Hmm.
so that would lead you to software, microphones, anything within the social media,
Right.
tool kind of deal. So that's like tight for that. Obviously, there's makeup people who do all different kinds of makeup. So there's a whole bunch of brands in there and a lot of competition in that space. So you would want to have a niche, but also what's different about you, what stands out about you. And those are the things that you want to share in your media kit to have like a little elevator pitch. What makes you stand out from someone else? Like, I do video and I'm
Hmm.
also like, I'm fantastic at editing. I can make great TikToks, repurpose. I reach this age group. You
Hmm.
want to have all of that information, the demographics of your niche. So you can start there if you don't have the audience yet and think about what is the market that you're going to serve and build your niche around that. And it kind of, if you build it, they will come kind of deal.
Right. Right. Right.
It is kind of like that. So you want to just be consistent with that. And mostly what they want to see now is not a big following. It's not so much the follower numbers as it is the engagement numbers. The engagement, the comments, and the questions
Gotcha.
are what really, because that's what drives the algorithms now,
Mhm.
not necessarily how many followers you have, but
So,
who's talking to you.
so I wanted to ask a question about that because you and I have both seen a lot of media kits, and a
Mhm.
lot of times we know that those numbers are inflated. Like they're like
Right.
pulling things we just know that it's inflated. And
Mhm.
do how important is to be super accurate on your numbers? Because do brands have? You mentioned that sophisticated
Yeah,
software.
they
They
can
can
see it.
tell.
I mean,
Yeah.
you really
Okay.
can't lie about stuff. They'll either ask you for screenshots of stats or
Hmm.
they'll, there's just you really can't lie about you can lie about stuff, but
Right.
it's out
Just
there
be.
on the internet.
Yeah. Just be.
If you
Be
have not
honest.
worked with a brand, don't put it on your website
Yes, that is very
because
true. We all know
it's
people have done that
lame.
as well too. So a
Yeah.
shout out to my friends over at Dealcasters watching over on YouTube. They says just meet a kit. One page that just says the greatest show on the internet. Well, thank you. You're too kind, Chris. I know that's you, so I appreciate your shout out there. But one of the
And that will be
things
right at the top of Jeff's
that's right. I'm going to use
testimonials on
that.
his one
That
sheet.
is a testimonial. So, one of the things, let's go kind of back to testimonials. When it comes to
Mhm.
getting your testimonials, you mentioned it's great to have ones with brands that you work for. Like I could put
Right.
on there that I've worked with Ecamm for X amount of years or whatever. But
Mhm.
let's say you're just getting started. How do you handle this when you haven't worked with brands yet? So you're wanting to get brands, but what else can you put in place maybe of testimonials that brands haven't given you yet.
So it could be comments from your audience saying, "Oh my God, that video was so helpful. Like you influence, you from you, I learned how to do X from you, and now I'm going to do." You see all the time that people buy things. I talk about books all the time,
Hmm.
and I started when I first started way back in the day. Had a Twitter chat that was my book club hashtag my book
Right.
club. Before Oprah, I had an online book club.
That's right.
Before Hello Sunshine and Reese Witherspoon created her empire. But the thing is, like, it was really hard to make money for it with it. Yeah, I worked with authors and they would come on and be guests and I would talk about books. And I was a Random House publisher, influencer for a while, and they would just send me lots of books, which
Hmm.
was amazing because I love
Yeah,
to read. So I
that's
was
great.
flipping through all the books. But it didn't really pay, and you still have to disclose it. So it's like for a X amount dollar book, you have to go through all the disclosure stuff.
Hmm.
So there's so many different steps to it, and I forgot where I was going with that conversation.
But
How to build your testimonials
right.
if you don't have them. Okay, so you can use comments from people in your audience and conversations that you have to show that you are an influencer in your niche before you have. So it's building your community before you have done it. Sandra Salin, who
Oh
is
yeah.
amazing. I love Sandra so much. So much. She's my favorite. She does all kinds of stuff. And she just started out, she was an artist and she's done being an artist and she loves makeup and jewelry and all that kind of stuff. She posts, stuff for her age group, which is she's she's an L. I
She's
can't
great.
remember the
She's a grandmom.
she does
Okay.
grand
Yeah.
influencer, I think is
Yes.
the one that she
Yeah. Yeah.
does. So she's done tons of things. Her recent one, she just did with a grocery store with Christy Teigen's mom. She did a
Oh
campaign
wow.
over the holidays. They chose her to come in and do some table setting kind of deals. She's got a fantastic personality, a background in Hollywood. Her husband, I mean, everything about Sandra is amazing. But she influences people all the time to buy stuff because she shares makeup. She's honest. She's like, I like this. I don't like this. She just talks about the
Hmm.
products. And that has led to her getting big PR kits from companies, which are when they send you all their products and you get them ahead of time and share them. And then also, she's worked with a bunch of big brands. She's had features in like the New York, I can't remember what the
Yeah.
London, I think it's the London Times or
Hmm.
London Today. Sunday London, something like that. I'm
Right.
sorry. If you're in England, I don't know your paper, but whatever their big paper is on the Sundays, they did a
Right.
whole story about her. And what she did is she just had her passion for makeup and
Hmm.
she translated that into building a really great Instagram channel. And now she's doing YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So she does a great job. And it's just a matter of, before she had the testimonials, she built the community of people who love what she talks about. She'll do like get ready with me makeup
Hmm.
tutorials and all different. She'll do like, I'm going to
Right.
try these new, like, she likes to do press on nails now. She's like, I'm going to try these. And she'll like do it live and talk while she's doing it. And it's amazing.
Right.
So find what you're passionate about and build the community around it. And while you're doing that, if you're thinking of working with brands, use their products, talk about them.
Hmm.
But until you have the brand testimonials, you can use community testimonials
That's a great.
as to grow.
That's great. And one of the things with Sandra, because I've watched her too, and people like her and like Roger Wakefield, who started out in plumbing and became a huge influencer in that
Mhm.
niche,
I
whatever.
hate that word.
And
Anyway,
and Sandra, it's never too late. Like you can get
right.
started now if you've never done it before. And Sandra is a great example of that, doing it kind of
There's
later.
yeah, there's so many people who take something that they do. There's a guy who I love who does makes lunches for his kids and he makes like cool lunches
Right.
and he's done all kinds of brand deals. There's another guy that I love that does kind of along the lines of plumbing. He has a YouTube channel and I think he's on TikTok. It's like for people who don't have a great connection with your dad. It's like this I'm your
Oh.
dad showing you how to do things. So
Oh
he's
yeah.
like your dad's telling you how to fix he does everything around the house. So it's like a do it yourself
That's
thing, but
cool.
it's from a dad perspective and people really connect with him because they go
Nice.
to YouTube to learn how to do things or
Hmm.
TikTok, either one, and he's there showing them how to do whatever.
Right.
So it's just a matter. I mean, even Lou, your friend Lou, like
Right.
he loves Disney. Lots of people love Disney.
Right.
That's why he has a podcast about Disney. Like, who would have thought that that would be someone's
Yeah,
career
yeah,
path, but it
yeah.
really, it's what you're passionate about, and you find the people that are also I mean, there's so many people
Yeah.
passionate about Disney.
So
So,
back to, I mean, so the short of it is, like, listen, if you don't have those brand testimonials yet, your community can provide those for you. And so
yes.
we have a great community. I want to bring up some comments from them. Kimberly McCoy says, "Thank you for speaking about followers versus engagement records." Yes. So
Yeah.
that resonated with Kimberly over on Facebook. And Dustin, our friend Dustin, says it's counterproductive to lie about your stats. Anyways, repeat brand deals should be the goal. And if you set unrealistic expectation with inflated stats, the brands won't come
Right.
back. So that is very true, Dustin.
It is
Thank you for
true.
that. Yeah. So
And going on that, there's also the thing of, when you do a brand deal, sponsored posts always get lower engagement and stats on it.
mhm,
Brands mostly know that, but it's like a good idea before and after you're doing brand stuff to like do some really engaging things to get
mhm,
your community really going. It's important if you want to do this at all, you have to stay consistent on whatever is going to be your main platform. I wouldn't try to do it everywhere. I would say now Instagram and TikTok are definitely the place where
right.
people are getting the most. I would say definitely TikTok. TikTokers are making big
Yeah.
bank over there.
Yeah, they are. They are. So, let's talk little bit about what sets your media kit apart, because
Yep.
that's
Yep.
that's important almost as much as your content does. So,
Hmm.
being creative and concise in your kit, that kind of shows brands that your skills are in action and you can use your media kit. It's kind of an opportunity to stand out from the crowd. However,
Yep.
we all can't be Ellie Wood from, with our pink perfume paper from Legally Blonde. But so how
I
can
think
we
it gives it a little something extra.
yeah. So, but how can we stand out with our digital media kit? I mean, yours is definitely your design skills. Like when you see Peg's media kit, they're amazing. I've seen multiple ones of them because we share a lot of stuff. Like, hey, does this look good? Um, but that's one of her skill sets. They look really, really good, and it also tells brands kind of maybe subconsciously, like, she knows how to design stuff. She knows how to put posts
Mhm.
together. She knows how to make things look good. So, how can people stand out with their digital media kit?
So even before you have the media kit though, it kind of goes into like building your whole brand.
Hmm.
So my media kit and everything I do goes back to like my blog and my whole brand. So if you see one thing, they all kind of go together, and takes a little bit of time to figure out how to translate who you are into your brand. But I'm always who I am. My brand is
Right.
me, and it's not like a persona. This is me all the time. So Jeff knows, he talks to me all the time. This is night. This is me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like people get confused when they're starting a brand, and sometimes they'll see someone else's brand. I know, like Marie Forleo is someone who I love. She has an amazing brand. Her YouTube channel, she's an OG YouTube channel. Her
Yeah.
channel is amazing. She sells classes. Her classes are amazing. Um, she is somebody who's copied a lot. She has great taglines, and she refreshes her stuff in a very big way every year when she redoes her class, because people copy her stuff and it really stinks, like her YouTube tagline, all of it.
Hmm.
So don't ever try to take someone else's thing and copy it to make your brand. That, number one, is never a good idea, and it's not you. I've had people take a lot of content from my website or try to copy what I do. Like, all the things in my brand are me. Like, the fonts I choose, the colors
Right.
I choose, all the things I choose. It's not going to be exactly the same as someone else. Your brand doesn't need to look like mine or anybody else's. It should fit you. So what you need to do is kind of boil down who you are. I always call that like the three seeds of your brand, to
Hmm.
give people three things to think about. So when you're building your media kit and your online brand, you want to say at the top who you are. Jeff C, YouTuber, Texan, guy with a beard. Like, you
Right.
want to
Right.
have like some things that, like, Jeff's, your beard is part of. I
The
mean,
brand.
raise your
Yeah.
hand if you knew Jeff before the beard, because Jeff, when I met Jeff, he just had like the baby.
Right.
He forgot to shave one day, and now
Yeah.
look at him.
I call you guys BBFs, before beard friends. So Peg is one, and Mike Alton is one, and Dustin is one. So
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
BBFs. Yeah.
So, but it's part of your brand. That could be a brand deal. That could be like a long term brand deal for some beard oil kind of deal.
Right.
I
Right.
I saw this great brand over the holidays. My husband and I went to New York City, and we did like the little Christmas markets, which
Mm-hmm.
is God, that seems like a million years ago. We're still in COVID time where there's like no
Right.
real sense of time. Anyway, the brand was amazing, and they made cool beard oil, and it was called Zaddy, which my husband loved it. But he had no idea what a Zaddy even was, which is funny. So you could be a Zaddy beard
Mm-hmm.
oil like salesman.
Mm-hmm. I could.
Um, yeah. So
So,
it's all part of building like something special, unique, who you are. You even have it in your logos, you have it all over. So it's kind of like building that. Like if they see that, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's that guy with the beard that I saw do that thing. He would be so good to talk about our new blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like seeing like how the brand can work with you, and it builds your demographics and with your personality and with your brand. So it's kind of all of those things together. So you want to have that in your media kit. It has like your name. You want to have like your little like kind of tagline, your demographics. You want to have definitely how people can reach you. Have a professional email. Think about what your email address is there, because they'll get that. The number one way that I see brands connecting with people though is through direct messages. They send a
mhm.
lot of direct messages. So you want to make sure that you're checking your messages, because that's where they might contact you first, and then it moves over to email.
So would you say because of that reason with direct messengers, it's a good idea to have your electronic media kit optimized for mobile? Like if it's a PDF, should it be able to look in there? Would that be something because so many people are going through DMs
Can
now?
you? I think usually that at that point it's through email. They
Okay.
if they want to work with you, they connect through email pretty
And then you
soon.
send them
So
the media
yeah,
kit through there.
yeah, they would be like, hey, can you send the media kit?
So one of the things I think and kind of people really need to remember was what you said earlier about not making it your own. Don't copy what somebody else is doing because it's
Hmm.
successful. It's
Right.
great to get inspiration for those people. That's fine, but make it your own.
Hmm.
Like when John Lee Dumas came out with Entrepreneur on Fire, everything became set up was started bursting into flames. Like there was like accountants on fire, then it was firefighters on fire. I mean,
Oh my
it
God.
was crazy. So
It
I mean,
is.
if you want to look at a kind of ridiculous example, look at all the podcasts that are on fire ever since
Right.
John did that, and that still
Right.
happens when they start. So make it your
Yeah.
own. But it always kills me.
The best things are the organic ones, like the guy on TikTok that was going to work, and his car broke down, he's skateboarding, and he was drinking Ocean Spray cranberry and playing a Fleetwood Mac song, and the Fleetwood Mac song went crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they're a very well-known band, but all of a sudden any music that's popular on TikTok, the bands make a ton of money from it,
Mm-hmm.
thankfully,
Yeah.
and they're popular. Like there's so many stars that are people that we know now because they did something online, like Shawn Mendes,
Oh
oh
yeah.
my gosh, Cardi B,
Yeah.
Megan
Zach
the
King,
Stallion
even Zach King
started.
when he started doing cool stuff.
Well, Zach King is amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But I was just talking about music. Those were
Oh yeah.
musicians who
Yeah.
just did. They were popular because they did their music on TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, Vine, one of those things. So my point is, being your own organic, cool thing. I'm not saying that it's easier, but that guy didn't think he was going to go
Right.
viral, and he just was
Put stuff
making.
out. Yeah.
He was just filmed skateboarding and drinking, which I would
Right.
100% fall. Let's be
Yeah, I
honest.
would be in the
I
hospital
probably would
or the
fall if
chiropractor.
I drank cranberry. If I drank a big thing like that and tried to walk, it would
Yeah.
100% be right down
That's
me.
right.
But anyway, he ended up making a ton of money from that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that that was the goal, but he was just doing his thing and it became popular. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that your goal is to go viral on TikTok or wherever, but sometimes in the process of doing your thing, you can have
Yeah.
something be popular.
So I want to talk about kind of this micro influencer, nano influencer. So like micro influencer
Mhm.
is like 10,000 to like 50,000 followers, and then like nano, I think is what they're classifying 1,000 to 10,000, I guess. So
Yep.
and
Yep.
they break it down. Everybody has kind of a little different numbers. So
Yeah.
let's say you kind of suffer from a little bit of imposter syndrome because you can be really intimidated when you start looking at some of these even like TikTok videos where some of them have like these millions of views, and you're like, hey, I just got on TikTok. What am I doing?
Right.
So and you're kind of maybe unsure of what stats you may want to share. So
Mhm.
when it comes to performance stats, is there a low that it's too low that you shouldn't mention, or is there a way that you can actually demonstrate your value to a brand if you find yourself in that kind of micro or nano, like you only have like let's say a couple thousand followers, can you still get brand
Right.
deals?
Yes, definitely. I see a lot of them. And on TikTok, you can, even if you make something, there's an example, there's a lady that she didn't even have a lot of followers. She did mostly like Amazon couponing things.
Mm-hmm.
And then she made this video where she was using this hair tool that I actually have and love. So it's a good one. But she just like did her hair and that thing blew up. And then that's the kind of thing where you never even know. It wasn't even that great of a video. It was just like one that she did. Um, so I think the main thing is to know that brands already know what your numbers are. They're very smart and savvy and they know what they're looking for. So if they're talking to you at all, there's a good chance they want to work with you. Or if it's a brand that you want to work with, don't worry that much about it. Just keep doing your great stuff and try to be engaging.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get people involved in things and more eyeballs on it, you want to make sure you're using the right hashtags, that you're kind of doing something maybe a little trendy. If you see a sound that's picking up, there's all kinds of apps where you can find trending music, or it just has a little up arrow next to it
Mm-hmm.
that's like teeny tiny on the screen. If you can hop on something that's kind of trending, it actually does help a lot. One The only thing I have on TikTok that like exploded was I was just kind of like looking to see what was working on TikTok. And it was like a really short video, under 7 seconds, with text all over it and like something going with kind of a heartfelt message over it.
Mm-hmm.
So I made this little video of my husband, not him, but his hands working on it
Right.
because he does not want to be on any of it. He was making these Easter eggs that his grandma always
I remember
made.
that.
And
Hmm.
that has like almost 600,000 views.
Wow.
Betty Crocker commented on it. I was like, "Hey, Betty Crocker, how about if we, partner on some holiday stuff?" But they were like,
Yeah.
"Hi, we like your video." They weren't
Yeah.
interested, but because I'm not a baking person, like all my stuff isn't about baking. But
Right.
so, just as an example, brands already kind of see what's going on. You don't have to worry if you've had a video that's gone viral. I would say being consistent and having people who are interested in your content is more important than having like a viral post or having bigger numbers. They know that they want to work with people with smaller networks because the smaller people actually have better engagement than people with 30 million, 40 million. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Charlie D'Amelio, they're not going to get her. Like a brand
Right.
is they're going to pay huge amounts of money for that. So, I would say organic is better. Look at Ben
Yeah.
Affleck and the Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah.
Super Bowl commercial. They did not go to him. Ben Affleck said, "Hey, I have an idea and this is what I want to do." And they were like, "We want to film you in the boardroom." He was like, "Let me film it myself and then you can decide." And I love those Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
loved his Super Bowl Dunkin' Donuts.
It was
That's
great.
he's a super fan. He is a Dunkin' Donut super fan. There's so many memes of Ben drinking Dunkin' Donuts. So
Mm-hmm.
good for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, this is a great. And speaking about community,
yeah,
and this is from our friend Ross Brand. He goes, "Are you talking about total followers across social or one specific platform?" So that's a great
that's
question.
a good
When
question.
you break it down for media kits, should you break it down by platform, or should you just go like, "Here's all my numbers"? Oh, I lost you, Peg.
Oh, can you hear me? I
Yeah, now you're back.
froze
You're back. You're
good
back.
because that was a really bad freeze face.
Right.
It's always like the worst. You're never
I
like
know.
smiling and looking at.
Yeah.
So you could put your total numbers and then break it down by social channel. Usually you would work with them on what I mean, there's all different kinds of deals. So you could do something across all your social platforms. It could just be for one post. It could be there's all different kinds of brand deals, but I break it down by different social channel. So like overall, I have 200,000 followers, but then that's like I'm like a micro influencer in between there. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't I swear numbers don't matter as much. The reason that numbers even to the point where when I was researching how much to charge for stuff, it
Mm-hmm.
was based on engagement, not follower count. So that is a
Mm-hmm.
true thing right there. They're not looking at the number, they're looking at the engagement. And it was like zero point 0.0 whatever per engagement. So it's definitely shifting because to no faults of influencers, all the algorithms have changed
Right.
and you might have a lot of numbers. And if you're not consistent, you're not going to get the engagement. So I'm not posting on Instagram daily. I'm not running stories all the time. But if I wanted to, get back into working with brands, I would have to do that and be really consistent with it and just
Mm-hmm.
keeping the numbers up
Right.
because you would want to show.
Engagement.
what you get in the engagement in the stories. Yeah.
So let's talk about that because, kind of like, rates, like salaries, there's a lot of factors that go into, a pay scale, convenience,
Mhm.
flexibility, other benefits, like how
Mhm.
many times you're going to post. But
Mhm.
that kind of all seems arbitrary if you've never worked with a particular brand or company before. So how do you
Right.
determine a rate for yourself? How do you price yourself competitively without losing your self-worth and value? Because, you know, and the thing is like, and I just read a great article from Justin. Gosh, he does the Brand Deal Wizards. I can't remember his last name, but he has a great email. But he was talking about, like, don't even ask other people in your industry what they're charging. You need to figure out what you need to charge, which I thought was
Right.
interesting take. So,
Yeah.
what is your advice on this, Peg? Because this is the big struggle I know that I have had,
Mhm.
and I know other people have. Is like, how do you figure out your rates to charge for an influencer gig?
I know it is hard. And there's two sides of it, kind of like what Justin was saying is, there's the side of like what they'll pay you and then how long is it going to take you to do it? Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
When you first start out, you're just so happy that brands will send you free stuff. They'll send you free makeup and send you free. So you're like, yay, free stuff. But eventually you're like, wow, I did a lot of work for that free stuff. So to get to the point where people are paying you, there's kind of different factors. So I found a couple of different things I found one for TikTok and one for Instagram to
Mm-hmm.
talk about like specific numbers. And I
Cool.
found this great tool. I'll share a link in the comments. It was like, oh, let me pull up the name of it because it's like, it's like inspire me dot Instagram pricing calculator, but I'll put a
Okay.
link because it's
Okay.
like spelled weird. But anyway, they have a little calculator where you can put in your Instagram handle, and then it gives you like a little range, and you can put how many posts, how many stories. So I did for my Instagram, one post and three stories. It generated
Oh, you froze again.
charge
Can you say that?
951.
Hey, go back and say that again. You froze a minute.
Okay. So for my followers, I have like 34,700 followers on Instagram. It generated what they estimated the engagement to be. And then it said I should get $951 to $1,200 for one post and three stories. Like that's what they're saying that I could get. And I will tell you that I haven't done, that's less than I've charged when I've done it because
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of work to do that.
Right.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. So you think, oh, it's just one post, just three stories, but there's a lot of back and forth with the brand. When you're creating content with a brand, it takes so much longer because you want it to be perfect and to be great. So it's just not like a quick one-off thing. So that was Instagram. And I love that tool because it kind of gave you a range. Now you could use that if you're just starting out and it gives you, like, say it tells you $500. You could say, fine. If it's a dream brand that you've always wanted to work with, fine, do the deal for what they're offering. If you do a great job, it could lead to more things with them later. So there's nothing wrong with taking something that you maybe feel is a little bit lower. The thing that you want to avoid is working only for product unless you really want it.
Right.
If you're working only for product, you're never making money on that. And technically, you're supposed to pay taxes on anything
Right.
that you
Get for
receive
free.
in kind. So there's a lot of things to think about. I found a Shopify article that had pay range for TikTok, and that one just had by the number of followers. It didn't have any engagement factors worked in there. I can find that article and share that too later. But this had for 1,000 to 10,000, you should get $800 a post. For 10,000 to 50,000, it was 1,500. For 50,000 to 500, it was 3,000. And then 500 to a million, 5,000. And then we know anything over that, the sky's the limit.
Right.
God
Right.
only knows what celebrities are making millions of dollars for a
Right.
post anywhere.
Right.
So,
But that, I think that's great. That gives you a baseline. Now that doesn't mean
gives
you
you a
have to
range,
do that. Yeah. So
right?
Facebook user, I don't know. Facebook user, I don't know why it's not coming through, but drop your name in there so I don't have to call you Facebook user. But they say I encourage my peers and junior peers to push up their fees. When they do, I raise my fees. I always want to be the most expensive, as psychology as in this profession has value. So that's
Yeah,
interesting way to do it.
that is true. I lost out a deal to someone I know who charged more, even
Mm.
though my engagement and everything else was better. So it's true that can happen.
Yeah. So once again, you have to be comfortable and feel. And one of the things is, I guarantee most people are not charging enough. For the people
Right.
who I've talked to, and they're saying, "Hey, I don't know, I gave them this number," and I'm like, "You should have doubled that, like because of
Mhm.
the amount of work." And I
Right.
know the dealcasters have this happen all the time. Is like when you become an Amazon influencer, people they come out of the woodwork wanting you to do it. Now,
Mhm.
it was really great when I got started because I wanted free stuff. Like you were saying, if you want free
Right.
stuff, that's great. Like, but I don't do that much anymore unless I really, really
Right.
want it, or if it's like
Right.
woodworking. Like I really want this company to send me this like laser etcher for my woodworking. Like if you're listening, I'm still interested.
Right.
But other
And
than
that
that,
that
it's
is
like,
part of it.
yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
But ultimately you're doing this because you want to get paid. So
Right.
you're going to get offers saying we'd love to send you this product in exchange for
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. The really cool brands say we want to send this to you. There's no expectation that you have to do anything, but we just
Right.
want you to have our product. There's one brand and they even like follow up and they're like, do you need more? We'll send you more products. And I
Yeah.
love it's very nice.
Those are cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but going back to that, so you need to make sure that you're comfortable with negotiating, which is very, very hard. So
Mm-hmm.
they're going to come and they're going to go, "What do you charge?" And then it's kind of that, "What do you pay? What do you charge? What do you pay?" Like, so you
Mm-hmm.
can ask the brand. You can say like, "What, what." A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, it might be a specific campaign that you want to work with. So they'll say, in our industry, it's like we're going to this speaking at this event. They want to do a tie-in with that. They want you to do stuff live there. Blah blah blah. So you can say, well, what's your budget for this event? You can kind of
Mm-hmm.
turn it back on them and see if brands accept your deal right away, you're probably not charging enough.
Right.
If they didn't come back and say, well, we're not really sure about that. The other piece is when you're in the negotiation part, there's a lot of things to look at, like, um, is this exclusive? Is this exclusive for 30 days? How many places are you posting? Do you need to leave this up forever? Like, there's things in there, so you need to make sure that you read contracts that they send you. And also, when are you going to get paid for this? Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
brands are really slow to pay, and that really stinks. So you want to make sure that it has in there when you're going to get paid. Do you want half of it up front? Then tell them, I want half of this up front, and then 30 days after, I want it all paid. Because tracking down money from people from something you did a while ago
It's a
is the
pain.
pits.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is very, and that also reading those contracts, because more and more I've seen brand deals come through. When you read this fine print, they say you can't do any competitors' products for like
Right.
60 days or half a
Yep.
year or something. So be
Yep.
real, read all that stuff, and most of the time when I've had stuff happen like that, I've able to go and say, like, I'm not doing that. Like, change the
Right.
contract. And a
Right.
lot of times I found they'll do that because they really want you to talk about their
Or
product or
you
something.
can say, if I need this to be changed, or my rate is triple.
Right. Yeah. So we talk about that a lot with Amazon stuff, because if they start giving me direction on how to shoot a video, then that becomes a paid thing, and
Yep.
my rates really shoot up because I don't want to have to
Yep.
deal with going back and forth with the brand. If I am,
Right.
they're going to have to pay me. The other thing
Right.
is if they say we want to use this video on our own social channels, we want to have
Mhm.
the rights to it. Well, then you
Mhm.
really jack the rates up because you're losing out on any stuff that you would have for your
Right.
own channel. So, uh, always read the contract. Always, make sure you understand what the brand is really asking for, and be very clear.
Mhm.
Like if they're giving you something, like if I have a product that somebody wants to send me and I really want it, like a woodworking something or other, I'm very clear. Like, thank you for this product. You have no direction on me saying how do you want this shot, or any of that
Right.
stuff. It's just like I will do it the way I want to. When you move into directing me, that's a whole nother price
Right.
level.
If you
So
want to give me a script and I'm doing X,
right,
that costs more.
yeah,
It
yeah,
it is. Everything is negotiable, and everything they add on costs more. So if they want to give you a script, if they're giving you, if they want to just send you product and you do your thing, that's a-okay. But you do just have to look for all of the
right,
fine print and
yeah.
stuff, like exclusivity and
And if they don't have
yeah.
a contract, be wary and ask for one. So yeah, don't just
Yeah.
like.
I would say most of them have contracts because they really want the right to post stuff on their channels.
Well,
So it's
yeah. My thing is, it's like what I was talking about through Amazon. They'll just send you stuff. Like, make sure you get a
mhm.
contract if things are going, just to protect you in the long run. So,
The
um,
other piece, and this is really a whole other show, is when you do branded content, you do need to make sure that you're disclosing it. And if
oh yeah,
brands are asking you not to disclose that you're working with them, that is a huge flag.
yeah,
Flag, flag. I won't work with brands. I had a brand who was sending me stuff and wanted, they were like, they wanted all these people to be brand ambassadors for them, but they didn't want you to tell that you were working with them. And I
Hmm.
was like, I'm done. Thanks anyway. But and I actually had a call with their social media team to talk about all this stuff because they were new and they didn't know how to do this. I'm like, you guys are asking people to do this and it's really not okay. But the owner of the company, that's how they wanted it to all look
Hmm.
organic. Well, that's not organic. That's you're
Illegal.
manipulating the market and it's
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, no, thank you. And I
Yeah.
do love the product and I've talked about them a lot, but I don't anymore because I'm like,
That's not cool.
no.
So a couple comments from our audience. Gary Stockton, a friend watching over on YouTube, he goes, "Yeah, Fender, get in touch." Yeah, he wants a brand deal there. He's a great musician. I like watching him on Instagram. He does a great job. And Rich has a great comment saying, "Always be willing to walk away too." So that
Right.
is a great
Right.
point, Rich.
And
Yeah.
that's negotiation. You can't be so excited about
Hmm.
that you just say yes and sign it right away and then later you realize, "Oh, you had an exclusive deal in there and you can't,
Right.
you know,
That's really important to read those contracts. By the way,
it
something
is."
I'll never walk away from is our friends over at Ecamm. Look at that. So one of the cool things we're talking about brand deals is I was using Ecamm way before I even started the show, and we even talked about having them be a sponsor of the show, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. It's great to have a real relationship with the brand, a brand that you can trust,
Mhm.
that you can talk to and go back and forth with ideas on, and that's why I love Ecamm, and that's why I continue to shout their praises during the show. Really appreciate them for sponsoring the show. I mentioned earlier that they just rolled out with version 4, which is amazing. They got a ton of cool stuff happening in their community as well. They're one of the best brands, I think, on helping train about the product and having a community in Discord and on Facebook, all the places. So if you haven't checked them out yet and you want to create presentations, live shows, all sorts of stuff, make sure you go to socialmedianewslive.com/ecamm. Alrighty, so let's continue our talk about media kits, but we're going to talk a little bit about, okay, you got a media kit. Now, what do you do? Because I get a lot of pitches. I know, Peg, you get a lot of pitches through email and LinkedIn that end up in spam, and most of them are just emails. But once in a while, I get a media kit. So, what's the best way to reach out to potential partners with your media kit instead of like a cold email or sliding into their DMs? What's the best way that you found like you want to do that to connect with some of these brands?
Well, it kind of is sliding into your DMs. I think the first thing is maybe make a list of brands that you really want to work with. Like, who are your dream partners? And then, kind of check out their social, make sure that you fit with their brand. If they're very conservative brand, you don't want to be swearing or,
Right.
doing things like. So it's you kind of fitting in those ways and then, try to connect with them online and talk with them. Kimpton, I definitely was talking to them before I worked with them and I just sent them a pitch like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. I sent them a like, "Hey, I'd love to work with you" thing.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Maxx, a brand that I love, contacted me. So that was like, oh my God, I love TJ Maxx. Like that, I love
Right.
TJ Maxx so much that I was like, I probably would have almost done that for free, but I didn't.
Shh. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Good.
know I didn't. And if I did, Barbara Corcoran would have kicked my butt. She was so awesome. At that event, I got to meet Barbara Corcoran and Layla Ali, like two really
Mm,
awesome business
yeah.
women. But yeah, so yeah, it's kind of like knowing who you want to work with, make a little vision board for it and kind of
Mm-hmm.
put it out there. Like, what would these look like? If you have an idea for a thing that you want to do with a brand, don't just do it and put it out for free. You could just, kind of create pitches and send it to them. I've done that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we could do this. I've done that with Guy before too. And there's companies that he wanted to work with, you know, make it happen. Like say, hey, sometimes you just reach out and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's a little bit of a flirtation with a brand beforehand. Like maybe you're mentioning them. Maybe you're talking, like I tried it with Betty Crocker. Betty was only sort of interested,
Yeah.
but I could
So
have pursued it more. But honestly, that's really not my
right.
niche. So I was
I
like,
would have been happy to send me some like muffin mix. That'd be great. So, 'cause I love Betty
Yep.
Crocker. I have the body built by Betty Crocker, by the way. The thing that I wanted to ask you is like, do you wait for a brand to request your media kit, or should you just send it to
I think
like
I
kind of
would
cold?
talk to people. I think I would kind of talk to them first. I don't think I would blindly. I've never done a blind send. I think it's just kind of like you want to have all these pieces ready in case they do ask. You want to connect with them. Probably they'd say send me an email here and send your media kit. So you
Okay.
don't want to at that point have to try to like create it. It's kind of good to keep something current.
Mm-hmm.
You could have it on your website so people could download it.
Hmm.
You could send a message out saying, I'm interested in working with brands. If you want me to send me your meeting, there's a way you can just let people know you're open to stuff too.
Hmm.
It's kind of like putting it out there, like, hey, I'm looking to work with brands that do XYZ,
Yeah.
you know. I
Um.
saw
s-
one recently where somebody I can't even remember what it was. Sometimes it's even companies, like they just make a video, like a fake, somebody did it on TikTok. They did a fake commercial for something and then they got hired to do it. They were not paid. They just loved the brand so much. And the brand was like, I love it.
Yeah. So your point about making a pitch, like how
Mhm.
once you send the pitch, like how long should you wait before like you follow up? Like you don't want to be annoying, but do you have like a
No.
rule of like a rule of thumb that where you like say, okay, I'm going to wait before I
Mhm.
follow up, and hopefully they'll ask for a media kit.
I think if you're connecting, usually it's either like a PR firm or the brands
Hmm.
people. They're pretty good about doing things right away. So I would say like a week and a half, follow back up and just be like, "Hey, I'd love to talk with you." And if it's their job to connect with people, so if they're not responding, they might just not be interested. I mean, you could follow up and say, "Hey, let me know if you need more information. If you have any ideas or." That might be a good place to say, I've been thinking about this deal. I had this great idea to do X with X, like if it's a certain product. Um,
Hmm.
you
Gotcha.
know, it might be a place where you might need to be creative and come up with a really good idea to pitch to them. Maybe they hadn't thought of it, and maybe it'll be good. I actually just saw one on TikTok. It was a girl that was talking about makeup, and she does her mascara like in a really weird way. She just puts on a ton of it, gets it all over, and then she cleans it off. And she has like great eyelashes though, like on her own, but she just doesn't match. She's like, does everybody do this? And so like Rare Beauty, one of the big Selena Gomez's
Hmm.
beauty brand, reposted her video. So with permission, of course, and they
Right.
mentioned her. So, it's just kind of sometimes doing the thing to get out there. Maybe you are doing something that would be kind of a paid thing for later, but I think she was really just doing her makeup and showing how she does it. And she ended up getting hired by a different brand to be in their ad campaigns because she had such great eyelashes. So you never know where something's going to go.
Right.
Like
Right.
she was just kind of being like, I make a mess when I do mascara. Does anybody else do this? It was funny. It was like the opposite of what most people
Right.
show. She got two big brands' attention and hired by probably both of them.
Wow.
So,
So
sometimes it's just like, maybe your cold pitch is you doing something creative with the brand before you're working with them, is what I'm saying.
gotcha. So I want to be respectful of your time, but I have a couple more minutes on this section. Do you
Yep.
need me to move on, or are you good for sticking around a little bit
Do what
longer?
you want to do,
Okay, because
Jeff.
I mean, this is
Want me
great
to stick
stuff. This is
around?
providing a lot of value for people because this is something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, and so it's really I think
Mhm.
important. So the question, so we got this media kit. So what can we actively do? You mentioned building a community, and
Yep.
and maybe mentioned them not being a pain about it, but like every once in a while or
Right.
whatever. So how
Right.
do we actively attract brands to invest in us? Is it enough to do your thing, just keep putting out great content, as everybody says, hoping that somebody notices you someday, or how can we be proactive on attracting brands?
I would say, yeah, it is a matter of just doing your thing. And I'll use an example. I'm not going to say her name because she's somebody that she's not a client, but
Right.
I am like friends with her. She's actually a local girl and she works with my daughter. She's amazing. She has a really great TikTok account. She does makeup. She does her little get ready with me makeup. She has worked with tons and tons of big brands now. Tons of brands are working out with her. And that was really from her just loving makeup. She just tries the products and she does it. She's in the right place. She's on TikTok. She's very consistent on her niche, and all these brands talk to her in her comments, but also in DMs.
Mhm.
So if you just have to be in the right place doing the right thing. That is how it works these days. If you're making like videos and they're not getting interaction, nobody's interested, are you doing them in the right place?
Oh, that's a
YouTube,
good
I
point.
think, is harder to connect. I don't hear of people on YouTube getting direct messages from brands and getting deals. Do you? I never hear that.
I have them reached out like if they're a specific, like we had Monty Weaver on a couple of weeks ago. He does really like tech stuff and like going live and all this stuff, and they'll reach
Yep.
out to him because he's very specific about like this is the microphone I use, this is why you should use it, and he gets brand
Yep.
deals that way. He's also big on Amazon, but I
Okay.
think
So
I'm like
DMs are the place. So just if you're
yeah,
doing your thing, just be consistent with your niche. If I want to if I want to connect with baking brands, I would have to start all over and just post
bake a
baking
lot.
stuff every
Yeah,
day. But then I would
which
have
you could do by the way because I've seen your stuff. It's pretty good.
if I could get my husband out of my kitchen. He likes to bake now more than I do. I can never get in there.
That's funny.
Um, but he makes
So
great stuff. So
on that same note, let's talk about kind of going beyond this media kit.
yep.
How do you leverage? I mean, this could be also another show, but really just quickly some of your tips. Leveraging social media when you're securing those brand deals. Like, how do you use your
Yep.
following on LinkedIn, Instagram, or others to secure those brand deals? Maybe not just mention your numbers, but is there ways that you can use those platforms to get them?
I think it's just a matter of connecting with them. So, um, I don't know if anybody who gets, well, maybe there's some LinkedIn brand deals. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn actually doesn't want people posting sponsored content, but people do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there a way to leverage it? I think it's basically just the engagement
The
and the
good content,
numbers.
right?
Yeah, it's not the follower count necessarily, it's the engagement count. So, it's kind of building your community, nurturing your community, and really being interested in your community. Like, it's not a matter of just like posting and posting and posting. You can't post and ghost, as I like to
Right.
say. It's really a matter of connecting and being interested in your audience. So, like you were saying with Ecamm, they have a community and they're really passionate. Obviously, they want you to pay for their product,
Right.
but they're not just like buy our product, do our thing. They're like, hey, join our community. Here's other people doing it. I love when you can join a community for something that you want to learn. That is like really where you connect with people. I'm doing a writing workshop this weekend for a community that I found on Instagram. I'm a writer, but I don't really have like writer friends, and I want writer friends. I want people to connect with. I want to like
Right.
learn. It's hard to learn how to do like this whole thing, learning all the brand thing. It's like another thing to be an author and to
Mm-hmm.
build that. Like there's the same things but different things. So I was really involved. Like I love communities. Some of them you pay to be a part of, and that's fine. Like Ecamm, that's their thing. But if there was like somebody who is producing videos, I'm sure there's tons of them who
Right.
have communities and you could join this community for X amount of money. It's worth it. So building a community and building the engagement is really where the numbers are these days. So, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, just make sure that you're creating content for the people who you want to reach and connect with them, whether it's in messages or like right in the comments. A lot of the best conversations do happen in direct messages,
So that was
just
something
even
I
with
was
your
gonna.
community.
That's one of the things that especially on Instagram, when you were talking about like engagement and brands looking at your engagement, I've seen a lot of people and a lot of experts in social media talk about how important DMs are. Well, that's hidden
Hmm.
from a brand. So
Right.
can you give them like, hey, yeah, I get X amount of DMs per month? I mean, is that a stat maybe we should think about? Because a lot of people are sliding into DMs to ask questions. There's conversation and actually community happening in these DMs. So what would you say about
Yeah,
that?
I haven't seen that specifically as a
Okay.
stat, but I mean, the ones that like the in Instagram stories, there's a little that you can
Right. Right.
encourage people to send you a message. So there's stats from that. So if you did
Okay.
something, there's stats for that one in particular. But just think about using all the tools that you have like that. Send me a message, ask me a question. All of those things, the new things that they add into stories are all to build the conversation. So it's not just you posting, it's you. And to be honest, I never post pictures of myself that much anymore.
Hmm.
And yesterday I posted a picture and I've gotten messages since then just saying like
Yeah.
just
Hey.
nice
Okay.
messages.
That's
So
cool.
it's interesting that like that wasn't my intended goal, but that's what happened. So it's kind of like just reaching people, because if you want to work with brands, that's going to be part of what you have to do because they want you to post and need people to talk about it.
Right.
So you can't just expect to start doing a brand deal and magically people are going to appear. Doesn't happen that way. And also in a good way, build your community of friends. So when you do have a brand post, you could send it to a couple of your friends and say, could you please comment on this for
Right.
me? Not to people you don't know, not to,
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
talking about your true friends. Like I
Right.
could send it to you, I could send it to Dustin, and I could say,
Yeah.
like, hey, can you just comment on this? Because anything that you post with that branded content tag, it does get less distribution, and you can't sponsor those posts
Right. You can't boost them. Yeah.
anymore. You used
Right.
to be able to. I actually worked that into my thing a couple times where they had to pay for sponsorship of the post so it
So
could
it
get
get
better
reach. Right.
distribution, but now they don't let you do that anymore.
Right. So this is
So,
so you mentioned writer friends. Well, Kathy says I started following Peg because she is a fellow
yay!
writer. So
So
there you go.
Kathy, you are
Yeah.
my writer friend.
There you go. So,
I
so
appreciate that.
I want to move on to our last segment here really quickly because I think this
Mhm.
is where Peg really shines. I mean, all her stuff's good, but she's an incredible designer. I keep telling her she needs to do a course on creating presentations because they're amazing. But we mentioned at the top of the show, you can make a media kit all on your own with
Mhm.
your copywriting skills, templates, free tools. So what do you recommend we use when we start making these brand kits? I know you have some favorite tools
Wow.
that you use.
I would say Canva.
Yeah.
I made my first one in Canva when there was no templates for it, but now if you search for Canva media kits, there is maybe 250 different templates in there.
Hmm.
So you want to fit something, if you're going to look, you could just look through the templates and make your own 100% from scratch, or just take one of theirs and 100% customize it, which is what I do. So you want to make sure it has photos of you, recent photos of you. Don't try to you want they want to work with you. So it's got to
Right.
be the you right now. Whatever they're going to see on camera, that's what they need to see on your thing. So you want to if you have actually the girl that I talked about on TikTok, she was like, "What do I do? I don't even know how to do this." I actually made her a really cute media kit. And I love to help people that don't ask. Here's a media kit I made for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you could do you could do shots from your video. So like you could do like little, she's got all these great vertical videos. So I just like took little pictures from there. It does take longer to do it that way, but you could just go through anytime that you're filming a video, do some still shots before or after. Just think about building up a little repertoire of things that look like brand deals. You could make yeah, so just make sure that you have like current pictures, good pictures. Everything we always talked about is do like clear the best pictures, but right now like everything is moved more towards the Gen Z doesn't even like clear pictures. They like a blurry, like
Right.
like you're
Right.
moving kind of deal.
Right.
So hey, if you're young and you can do that, good for you.
Go
But
for it.
I'm
Yeah.
still with the clear photos. If there's specific brands you want to work with, look at what their brand looks like, kind of get a feel. You could do different media kits for different things. For guys stuff, I had done specific pitches for certain brands. So, if it's a really big brand, think about what kind of stuff they have. Is it moody? Is it
Hmm.
bright and fresh? Is it, it's
Right.
they're all different. So
Look at their aesthetic. What you're saying, pretty much.
yeah,
So,
don't copy.
oh, you froze again. Don't copy. No,
Um,
you're back. Okay, you froze a little
I
bit.
hate another bad freeze.
Uh,
So yeah, so for your media kit, if you're making your main media kit, you want it to look like, if you have a website, to match that, or whatever your aesthetic is. I like plants. I have lots of plants. My whole backstage thing is pretty much my aesthetic. I have
mhm.
plants. It's got, my book is back there. It's got things that are my brand colors, stuff like that. So just, you want to have current pictures, you want to have your like demographics, you want to have your little like elevator pitch, I'm a blah, blah. Some people put their age and everything and stuff. It's mostly the younger people. I would never put my age on stuff, but maybe I would have if I was in
Right.
my 20s, but I don't think so.
Right.
Um, so just what you're comfortable with. It's got to have your contact information so they can email you. Um, they get a lot of stuff. If they print it out, you would want them to have that. Examples, your stats, things like that. So, and just do it in a really nice, creative way. You're doing online stuff, do it so you're on a computer. Do it so you're like in a little smartphone
Hmm.
with a frame kind of deal.
And Canva has all those things that you can actually drop stuff in. Really, really
Yep,
easy to make those kind of graphics to do it. So it's
very easy.
easier probably than you think if you find the right template. But once what Peg was saying, make sure that you, because you don't want people looking at your meeting kit going, oh, they made that in Canva. You want to
Right.
customize a little bit enough that it is yours. So
And
change the
and
colors, all that stuff.
yeah, and if you don't see anything that you love, or if you want something that you feel is really different, creativemarket.com is a
Hmm.
fantastic place to go and get templates, but they're not obviously as widely used as
Right.
the ones on Canva. So you can take those and customize them. You could hire someone to create design stuff for you, but you don't really have to. I mean, it is easy to make
Yeah.
something
So
that looks
Peg
like
says it's
you.
easy, but her stuff's amazing, and so I think she's going to drop in the comments to some of her examples of some media kits.
Yeah,
Make
I can
sure,
do that.
once again, don't copy, use it for inspiration, but you'll get some great ideas from hers, and it's a PDF, so it'll be really hard to copy anyway. But you look
No,
at it and
you can
see how
put
she's
that.
doing it.
You can open PDFs in Canva now.
I was trying to save you from people copying. Anyway,
Good luck.
but make sure that you change it up. But look how she's laid it out. Look how the flow goes in her media kits. It's, to be honest, she does a really great job because it's kind of an art. It's not just a standard template. And Gary says, he says it's great to have for going on podcasts. Yeah, more and more podcasts, like Gary's saying, are when you're wanting to be on some of those higher podcasts, a great way to
Yep.
grow your podcast audience is to be on other podcasts. Having a media kit talking about what you talk about, where you're visible,
Downloads.
your downloads,
Right.
all that stuff is a big deal. So Gary, thank you for that comment.
Really, you can do, there's a lot of different ways that you can use a media kit. It's not just for somebody who wants to work with a brand. It can be an author. If you're an author, you can make a one sheet or a 2-page for your book. Or if you're looking for an agent, if you're in the query process, that's called, you can have it be all the stuff about you. You can, and especially if you don't have a website, which some people don't these days, but if you don't, it needs to have all your stats on there.
Mhm.
So you could be a podcast, you could be someone looking for guests, you could be someone who wants to be a guest. Either way, people
Right.
pitch, but I think people probably pitch podcasts more than anything else now. So what's the benefit of having you on as a guest? Are you a good guest? Are you interesting? Like, what
Right.
other shows have you been on?
Right.
All those things are important.
And also make sure I get so many pitches where people don't even know what my podcast is talking about. They say, "Hey, I love your podcast." And it's very, very obvious that they have never listened to it before. So
How about the people who send me one on my podcast? I don't even have one.
That's right. So
I get those on LinkedIn. Hey, your podcast is great. I'm like, really?
yeah.
What one?
Yeah.
Tell me
tell me what mine is,
tell me
because
what
I don't
my
even know
show
it.
is.
Yeah, exactly. So last question, how often should we be updating our media kit? Is it like once a year, once a quarter? Should we really keep talking about Google Plus on our so how often should we
I
update
do
it?
just because I have 1.5 million followers on Google Plus.
Right.
Even though it's gone, to
Yeah.
me, it's not. I'm just kidding. No, it depends on how often your stats change. If you're like a hot TikToker, like a little hot makeup girl on TikTok, and your numbers are growing every month, then update it every month,
Mhm.
because sometimes they are growing there. If you have one viral post and it takes off, you could do it monthly if it needs to. Otherwise, just if you're sending out to a new brand, I would just pull it up and say, is everything still current? If not, then,
Right.
update it.
And that's the great thing about Canva is that you can have that template up there, have it all built, and you can go
Yep.
easily change those stats, download a new PDF, upload it to your website or for an email or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's a great way to do that as well.
And
So
people do have their media kits as downloads. If you had a podcast or any kind of
mhm.
thing, you can have a media page on your website where you could have your photo downloads. If you're a podcaster who's going to be on lots of other shows, have your professional photos ready to go so people can borrow them. Have your bio, have your media kit so people can grab it.
Right.
So just be ready to go, people. The more professional you look, the more, places you're going to connect with people. So
Yeah. So, Peg, we are at the end of the show, but I want to
okay.
let people. I mean, this is awesome. We could talk forever about this stuff. We had some great questions from everybody. So, thank you guys for asking all your great questions. Thank you for sticking with us as we went a little bit longer. But, Peg, where can people find out about all the great things that's the amazing Peg Fitzpatrick?
I am Peg Fitzpatrick everywhere on the internet. My website is pegfitzpatrick.com. And you can find me at Peg Fitzpatrick on every social platform that
Yeah.
I'm on.
Awesome. Yeah, and check her out because, like I said, she's been a mentor to me for so many years, and she's done such a great job, and she just knows everything social, and she's got some cool stuff coming out that is secret, but it's coming out and it's going to be awesome. So make sure you follow her
I have secrets.
everywhere. She has very many secrets. So thank you guys for watching today. We have come to the end of another amazing episode of Social Media News Live, but there's something I want to share with you really quick. As many of you know, Grace Duffy has been a co-host on the show since the beginning, and we've also worked together at many years at a different company, and she's been an integral part of this show, and I really couldn't have made it this far without her. But today we are saying goodbye to Grace, and it's really sad because she's sick today. This was going to be her last day on the show. She's got a fantastic new job. I'm sad to see her go, but I'm very excited for her. This is because this job's amazing. It's actually one of our guests who have been on the show before, and I know she's going to continue to do some awesome things over there. But she has been a mentor, a confidant, a great friend to me, and her guidance and direction have helped this show become what it is today. I'm going to miss her tons, but I know she'll always be a part of the show, and we look forward to having her back on the co-host seat from time to time when she's available. But the show's going to go on, and we have some fantastic guest co-hosts lined up for the future, so stay tuned for some more exciting episodes of Social Media News Live. But Grace, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all your time, your hard work, and your dedication to the show. You will always have a special place here, and we wish you the best on your new adventure. And with that, to all our viewers, thank you for tuning in, listening to the podcast. We'll see you next week on Social Media News Live. Social Media News Live. I can't even say a show. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.